So I think that's just kind of been the time for me to like really find some patience. And I've never been a patient person my entire life. So this has definitely tested me a little bit.
They say patience is a virtue. And for Caitlin Clark and Fever fans everywhere, that patience is about to pay off. She just shared a major update on her injury, and let's just say the comeback is coming soon. But when I say patience is about to pay off, I don't just mean Caitlin showing up, jogging onto the court, and getting a lukewarm welcome on the Jumbotron. No, this is going to be much bigger than that. Fun fact, the Chicago Sky don't exactly have the best luck or spell out well on the court. Back to Caitlin's comeback. It's going to be way more impactful than most expect. Everything that happened while she was sidelined has shifted the landscape for her, the Fever, and the entire WNBA. Now, here's the wild part. The mystery surrounding how she got injured in the first place has sparked some serious conspiracy theories. And honestly, if any of those turn out to be true, we're in for an even more unstoppable Caitlin Clark. From what she's shared with the media, the change in tone from the Fever organization and all the chaos in the league while she's been out, the stage is officially set for a legendary return. Records are on the verge of falling, and old narratives are already breaking apart. Let's dive into the details, but first, if you think Caitlin's return will smash ratings records, hit that like button and subscribe for all the latest Fever updates. Alright, let's rewind a few weeks and get into it.
Obviously, this game is peaking at 3.2 million viewers is crazy for the WNBA, even for the Fever. So this year's peaks are already freaking higher than last year's peaks when this team was starting to do a bit well.
Before, Caitlin had to step away with a strained quad. She was doing what she does best, delivering jaw-dropping highlights and smashing records.
Possessions for New York. Clark, step back three. Oh, she hit it! Then draws the foul. Welcome back.
The Fever's game against the Liberty drew an impressive peak of nearly 3.3 million viewers, following their opener against the Sky, which averaged 2.7 million viewers, the highest WNBA regular season viewership since 2000. Other words, the Caitlin Clark effect was in full force. And the craziest part? The Fever weren't even dominating on the court.
1 second left. Clark doesn't get the shot off. Cloud locks her up, and New York comes into Indianapolis and takes the checkered flag.
At that point, the Fever were sitting at 2 wins and 2 losses. Sure, their blowout victory over the Sky made it seem like they were ready to dominate the league. But in hindsight, that win revealed more about the Sky struggling than the Fever being fully locked in. The offense was still shaky and disjointed. They were clearly working things out. As for Caitlin, she was still productive and dangerous, pulling off highlight plays, but anyone watching closely could tell something was off. She lacked that usual lift and explosiveness. We'll circle back to that because it's important for what comes next. So when the news dropped that she'd be out for at least 2 weeks and a minimum of 4 games, fans were naturally concerned, but there was also a quiet confidence. The veterans on the team could hold down the fort. Well, that confidence was about to face a serious test fast.
I think this was a kind of gut punch for us. We're going to come back tomorrow, practice, more focused, more energy. We know we want to be at the end of the season, but we're not just going to get there. You know, sometimes it sucks and it's a grind, and that's where we're at right now. But I do think short-term and long-term, it's going to make us better.
This is Sophie Cunningham speaking after the Fever's loss to the Mystics, their first game without Caitlin Clark. What she said here is important to keep in mind because, looking back, she was definitely onto something. But if fans were expecting a quick bounce back, they were in for a disappointment. After that loss to the Mystics, things only went downhill from there.
Inbound to Mitchell, who nearly lost it, retreats, gets up a really tough shot, and Connecticut survives.
Their loss to the Sunna team that had started the season 05 was a humbling moment that had fans and analysts questioning everything. And just when it seemed things couldn't get any worse, they did dot in that same game. The Fever lost both Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson to injuries. With both of Caitlin Clark's backups sidelined, the depth chart wasn't just thin, it was completely shredded. But here's where the story takes a twist. Sometimes when two doors slam shut, another one swings wide open. And this one brought a huge breath of fresh energy to the Fever.
Fever now on an 11-2 advantage. Miscommunication and stolen by McDonald, who races to the other end and finishes.
Ari McDonald, the unexpected hardship signing no one saw coming, stepped up and immediately changed the team's energy. She brought speed, intensity, and most importantly, she ignited the offense. Ari quickly became a spark plug and a fan favorite. Now, many are saying she shouldn't just be a short-term fix, she deserves to be a key part of the team's future.
And if there's one thing that is a certainty for the Indiana Fever, it's that hold on to Ari McDonald at all costs.
The Fever began to find their rhythm. First, they got revenge on the Mystics, flipping the script from their earlier loss. Then came the big moment, the highly anticipated rematch against the Chicago Sky in front of nearly 20,000 fans. And the Fever didn't just win, they completely dominated.
And the Indiana Fever has beaten the Chicago Sky by a combined 62 points in 2 games.
Now sure, beating the Sky has become almost routine, but this win was different. The Fever did it without Caitlin Clark, without Sophie Cunningham, and even without their head coach, Stephanie White, even though it wasn't their cleanest performance. It was still a commanding victory, and that's what should worry the rest of the WNBA. The Fever just proved something dangerous. They've learned how to win without Caitlin. Meanwhile, Kelsey Mitchell has snapped out of her early season slump and is looking like her old self again. Aaliyah Boston continues to dominate inside. Lexi Hall is deadly from three-point range and making a strong case for most improved player, maybe even edging into borderline all-star territory. There's a lot to be excited about. Because of all this, the Fever are going to be even better. When Caitlin returns better than they would have been if she'd never missed any time. That alone should have Fever fans pumped. But if you're a Caitlin Clark fan, there's even more to get excited about. This injury didn't just give the team room to grow, it made her value impossible to ignore. Her importance to the league has never been clearer. Let's start there.
The cheapest ticket for the June 7th showdown is $14, according to Vivid Seats. Oh, there's some even less expensive than that.
First, the game against the Sky officially put an end to the "they're just here to watch me" narrative. Just before tip-off, tickets were going for as little as $3 cheaper than a small popcorn. It was more expensive to snack than to get into the game. But here's the kicker. For their rematch just a few weeks later, ticket demand is already surging again.
The cheapest ticket for that game next month is currently at $82, according to Vivid Seats. It gets much worse. Therefore, there's currently an 83% drop between the 2 games.
And hey, I'll spare Angel Reese the deep dive. Let's just say her scoring was barely more than what me and my blender could put up combined.
Next question.
But let's be honest, that performance officially put an end to the rivalry. All under the biggest spotlight and in front of the largest crowd. The league witnessed one of its most hyped young stars deliver one of the most disappointing performances of the season. And the media spin just isn't convincing anyone anymore.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Like, the most coddled basketball player in history. She is the 43rd best player in the WNBA. She is, and that is being the most generous I can be coming into this season.
But fam, don't you dare exclude Angel Reese out of that. That is favoritism. Don't show that, man. You need to call Angel Reese out the same way you are willing to call everybody else out.
All of this makes one thing crystal clear. Angel Reese isn't the one driving the momentum. This is Caitlin Clark's league. When Caitlin returns and ratings soar once again, the debate will finally be settled. It's over, maybe, just maybe. The WNBA will realize it's time to truly promote and protect its biggest star. Speaking of her comeback and those record-breaking numbers, let's dive into Caitlin's recent remarks and what some are calling a quiet controversy. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but a conspiracy theory is gaining traction. I'll admit, I'm intrigued. Watch this next clip and let me know in the comments if you think I'm onto something or way off. When Caitlin was asked directly about what caused her injury, here's what she said.
Is this an injury that happened during a game or anything, or is it just something that is lingering that popped up? Or
It happened in the Liberty game, yeah.
Were you able to pinpoint the time in the Liberty game that happened, or you were just...
No, definitely early in the game, but I couldn't tell you the exact play something occurred on. And
Caitlin mentioned she can't pinpoint exactly when the injury occurred, but not everyone is convinced. Rumors are swirling that this wasn't a sudden accident, but rather an issue she's been managing quietly for weeks, something that gradually worsened and that she pushed through until it finally became too much to handle.
Happened in the Liberty game. Yeah, I don't believe that. She looked 60% in the Liberty game. She looked no better against the Atlanta Dream. And there's no way it happened in the Liberty game. Unless, like, she looked so much better in the second half of the Liberty game as well. And I just don't believe it. I just don't believe it.
Off, that theory actually reflects positively on Caitlin, and I'll explain why in a moment. But let's be real, it's not surprising if there's some behind-the-scenes risk management going on. Because if this injury wasn't just a random on-court incident, and instead something the team was aware of while she kept playing, that definitely shifts the conversation in a new direction.